Back. I had to make sure I wasn't dreaming when he said what he said. So, but I'm
here, of course, joined with Nick Bodkins of the Bodkins Show. Nick, what's going on, everybody, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Buffoon and Bodkins Show on a Monday night for the second half of the Monday Night Football game, Commanders Eagles. My name's Tanner Dawson of the Sports Buffoons of Whiskey Sports Podcast, and of course, Let's Talk Sports coming to play. And of course, join me every Monday, Nick Bodkins of the Bodkins Show. Nick, what's going on, dude?
What's up, man? Pretty good. You know, hey, Victory Monday for the first time for me in like 8 weeks. So, I mean, the Packers pull it off. That's the reason I didn't do a Sunday night show. I was too busy out celebrating. I may never feel that again after beating the Cowboys. Man. So, yeah, it felt good last night for the Packers to finally get a win. I thought Aaron was going to fight Matt LaFleur on the sidelines at one point. I was lip reading. So, I asked my wife, I said, did he say run the effing ball or F you, Matt? I couldn't really quite tell what he was saying, but it was on the lines of that. I have to tune into McAfee tomorrow because I know Pat will ask him exactly what was said.
One of them will ask him for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys that's not afraid to speak his mind when it comes to the game. He's so competitive into play, and yeah, he doesn't care. He goes up to all the head coaches, no matter who's there. He's going to say his mind, like, "What is wrong with you?" Kind of thing. You don't see that from a lot of other guys in the play.
Tom Brady's about the only one, right? I mean, Pat Mahomes, we've seen him and Bieniemy kind of get into it a little bit. Yeah, but that's a
coordinator, dude. That's a coordinator. Like, if you ever see Patrick Mahomes go up to Andy Reid and say something like "run the damn ball" or whatever it may be, now we got an issue going to play. And now Pat Mahomes has grown some Aaron Rodgers testicles coming into play. Like, I mean, that would be insane on my side. But, that was it was a little disappointing from the betting side because I actually picked Cowboys as one of my locks after the last few weeks of Packers football. But like I said on our group chat last night, freaking Aaron Rodgers in Packers in Lambeau pulled out the miracle because decided to actually play ball at home for once in the cold.
Is it that, or is it Mike McCarthy too? Because Mike McCarthy's game management again come into play there. 4th and 4 in overtime, and you decide to go for it instead of kick the field goal. And so it's McCarthy, I felt like wanted it and didn't get it, and you could see the frustration on him, and that's why he slammed the headset down, and he knew Aaron was going to go down and they were going to win the game.
Yep. Yeah, that was definitely frustration there. So anyways, guys, we got a little bit of a show here. I haven't really heard from Jim. That's all right. If you didn't check it out earlier, he did his Let's Talk Pucks podcast on Let's Talk Sports. Really great insights, as always, from Jim in the NHL world. So make sure you guys go tune over there for Jim Beeringer. Check that out. Again, just I think it was I was at dropping dance off, so about 6:30 he was doing that. So another great podcast by him. So Jonathan will join us here a little later on, but we do got a new guest today. Former broadcasting experience there. Big Eagles guy, which is probably the main reason we brought him on today. Let's bring in Max Baker. Max, what's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. I feel like a bad luck charm at this point. I mean, Eagles losing now at halftime. The one time I come on to talk about them.
6-point game now. They just kicked a huge field goal before the half.
They actually make that?
Yeah.
I know I'm a little behind, but
drilled it.
6-point game at half. Birds get the ball in the second half, though, so not worried yet, but obviously division games can always be tough. But no, thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, we're glad to have you on here. Hopefully we aren't bad luck here. So I looked it up earlier today on my Whiskey Sports podcast. I can tell you about this one. I do a lot of sports betting on there throughout the day, and I looked up here that the Eagles are actually 4-0 against the spread at home. So I was like, okay, Commanders, I know they're going to be tough, but 4-0, maybe they take it to them, and we just got a whole another half to go because teams turn it on. You see the Chiefs do it every week when they get down. That just because they're down at halftime doesn't mean that's the game. So obviously we got time to go here, but 4-0 at home against the spread. They've already hit an 11-point spread before this game, which is where they finished at today on the closing lines, and that was the Steelers game. So I think there's still hope here for that 11-point spread.
I mean,
I was the opposite, Tanner. I took the Commanders in the points, but I love the Eagles money line.
When I think a divisional game like this, 11 is a lot for a team they've already played this year. We talked about it a little bit off air, but Heineke is definitely a better answer at quarterback than whatever they gave up to get Wentz.
New energy. That's what it is. It's just different.
You know that either guy's not the franchise answer. So what are you giving up assets to go try and make something out of Wentz when he's already proven? As an Eagles fan, I can say I believed more than anybody, but eventually you face the reality. He's just not the long-term guy, and you just got to move on.
Do you think the injuries kind of, I guess, hurt him in the long run going to play with it being so early in his career? Like he had promise. We saw it all when he came out, got to start. This guy looked like he could be the next big thing coming to play. And then the injuries started happening. And then we started seeing slowly just different balls being thrown, just not the same.
I think sorry, Nick. I think part of it was he lost when he had the ACL injury that year, the magical year. A lot of his big plays that year were using his athleticism and his escapability. And as soon as he came down even like a half step, the NFL just caught up to him. And he got by his whole life just being a better athlete than everybody in North Dakota and then in FCS football. And then in the NFL, when that went away, everything else just kind of fell apart. And, the last 2 or 3 years, like it's what we've seen. He's just not that good of a quarterback.
Yeah, it was going to be MVP that year, right? I mean, the MVP was on his way and then tore his ACL, like you said, Max, and just like his career just kind of has never recovered from that. Whether things didn't work out with the Eagles was, with the Nick Foles, Peterson, Hurts, all that whole thing. And then here you are, though. I mean, it looked like the right move, right? Like, 2 years ago, is Eddie Rosenhaus right? Is that the GM? What's his name? Rosenhaus.
Howie Roseman.
Okay, Howie Roseman's getting killed, right? Like Howie's kind of getting killed for all these moves, and then in 2 years' quick time, like he is putting out together arguably the best team in the NFC, maybe the best team in all of football. I mean, they're looking to maybe get their, they could get their first loss tonight, but. We got a whole second half to play, but I mean, how's the Eagles fans? Are they now back behind this team, or what's the pulse of Eagles Nation now?
Yeah, I think you hit on the head. Like 2 years ago, so the COVID weird 2020 year, the end of like the Wentz and Peterson era, there was a large cry from a lot of people. Fire Howie. He drafted Hurts. They built it. This is a mess, right? Wentz had the big contract. And then you fast forward a year, they hire Sirianni, who a lot of people had never heard of before. They go to the playoffs last year. And here we are, midway through November, the only undefeated team. And not just that, just a roster that's loaded, both offense, defense, young players. And more importantly, they've done that while also having a bright future of draft picks. So, they got the Saints first-round pick this year, which looking like it's going to be a top 5 pick. A few seconds as well as they've kind of maneuvered around. So I think Howie, more than anybody really in the Philadelphia sports media in the last, 24 months has done a complete 180, and now they're ready to build Howie Roseman a statue.
They're going to build the statue for him. Are they going to replace it with Nick Foles and Doug Peterson out front and just put Howie instead?
Philly. Yeah, I don't think you can get rid of that one. That one means too much, but they'll put a Howie one up right next to it. So, but yeah, it's been a fun year to watch. Obviously with the Phillies too, making a run. It's been hot in Philadelphia this year, and we'll see what they do at home here in the second half. Definitely far from over.
And I don't know if you caught it, but Colin Cowherd a couple weeks ago stated that Philadelphia was this fake team that if they got put against the Chiefs or the Bills, that it wouldn't even be a ball game. Like this is a fake. This is like he was comparing it almost to the Steelers going undefeated 10-0 last year coming into play. And I saved the video on my TikTok because I got the highlight and I haven't responded yet, but I don't feel that this would be a fake team coming to play. This is a team that last year went to the playoffs. Granted, they were completely outmatched in the playoffs. It just wasn't there yet. They were missing a lot of pieces still, but there was promise coming to play. This year they go out and make some moves, right? AJ Brown coming into play. Now they got Robert Quinn. Yes, you did lose your rookie defensive tackle that made a lot of strong push. That's really helped that defensive line. And we're kind of seeing it in this game too, how much of an impact he did make to keep that line fresh, to keep that defensive line going into play. So I guess from your sake, like, this isn't a false, like, this isn't like a Steelers 10-0 because they played a bunch of crappy teams. Like, this is an Eagles team that's legit Super Bowl contenders, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and I've had this same conversation with my friends. A lot of them are, growing up in Minnesota are Vikings fans, and the narrative is, well, they haven't beaten anybody yet. And it's, you look back and it's like, well, in week 2, I mean, they dismantled the Vikings. That was a 17-point game at half. It never got closer. They beat Dallas. Granted, it was Cooper Rush in at the time. But it's also the flip side of it is it's the NFL. So
beat Minnesota. I mean, that how good is when does that look now? I mean, Minnesota's only got one loss coming off the game of the year, against the Bills. Me and Tanner were talking about that a little off air, how crazy that game was. And, it's like that game looks like now the Eagles, hey, they beat Minnesota, who just beat the Bills. And, if you take the polls, most people, including myself, would have said they're the best team in the league. Well, if you know what I mean, if that team, if you do the checks, well, where's the Eagles at then,
Yeah, they beat the team that beat them, right? So it's the NFL too, where there's no easy wins. So for the Eagles to be 8-0 and really have not had that close of a game, like, that shouldn't say, well, they're not a good team or they're not for real, because you have to be a pretty good team to be 8-0, regardless of what 8-0 is. Granted, there's definite strength of schedule arguments to be made, but at the end of the day, you can only play who's on the schedule. And if you've won all 8 and you've lost 0, you're a pretty good team.
I don't think you're getting a lot of criticism because 1, you're not the Cowboys, 2, you're not Tom Brady, and 3, you're not a team from Los Angeles or California.
They're not doing it flashy, I don't think either, right? Like, they don't have like the flashy names, like Hurts has kind of built himself up and had all these questions coming into the year, and he's proven himself and is definitely in the MVP talk. But they don't have like these big flashy names. Even from like when they won the Super Bowl, that it seems like this, especially on offense, is completely, all those guys are gone, and they brought in all these, newer guys.
Definitely not a lot of names on the offense. And I think the bigger thing is they've gone up early on a lot of teams, and then the teams have kind of gotten their way back into the game. So they haven't really been tested and found had to win a close game, but they also haven't done a really great job of beating teams. They get up 21-7 and they don't win 42-10. It ends up being a 35-24 game. I know that's been the talk, is like, can this team step on another team's throat? Or we're going to see tonight, like, can they play in a close game and still come through? I think, granted, Washington's only 4-5, but if you're able to win a game that you're losing at halftime, I think that would help answer a lot of the criticism.
Right.
Where would Washington be?
Right here, okay?
Go ahead.
This team right here. We don't step on throats for whatever freaking reason, okay? But guess what? We're still in contention. We still win the games. That's all that really matters, because you had Arizona, right? I think what's the closest game you had at Arizona. You had to win by field goal on that one. Jacksonville got you down 14-0, bad weather at home. You kind of look defeatful, and then the second quarter comes and you broke Jacksonville for the rest of the season. That's how I claim it, because literally they were the hottest team coming into play, 14-0 down, the turnovers coming into play, and then the Eagles just break them in the second quarter, and it just never prospered from there. So I think those are the two when I think about your guys' season so far, those are the two things that really come into life. That hey, they have shown they can come back. They have shown that if they need to put the accelerator down, the accelerator's down. I think that's the biggest parts of the team here to be successful going forward. And like I said, my Chiefs, we do the same freaking thing game in, game out. We should have beat the Jacksonville by more than 10 last week. Instead, we fool around, let them back in almost by half the points right away at halftime. So I'm seeing very similar things come into play with the Eagles team.
Well, you look at, not to rub your face in this too much, but you look at what happened in last year's AFC Championship game. You got up big and didn't close the door, and
just couldn't do it.
Home. Yep.
Just choke.
Chiefs never cover. Chiefs never cover. That's the thing.
We covered last. We covered this. I bet that one. We're good on that. So, go ahead. Sorry, Nick. I interrupted you.
Oh no, you're good. I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say. Really, I was going to say he said the Commanders are 4-5. I said really though, like we just like kind of leading off, like the Commanders have turned around. Where would they be if Heineken had started all season? They'd probably look, almost 5-5 or with a winning record. I feel like because they just seem to be a lot better. So like even losing right now to the Commanders, they played a lot better the last month or so than they were the first month of the season.
For sure. And last week, Commanders went, down to the wire with Minnesota, lost by a field goal, and that's a team that everybody thinks is a top team in the NFC. So, yeah, and in the NFC, 4-5, the Bucs, I think, got a win yesterday to get to 5-5.
Yep.
So,
and they beat the Seahawks, who, again, another team out of nowhere that's been very competitive, leading their division and everything going to play. So
it goes back to the point, in the NFL, it doesn't really have to be pretty, but if you just win games and you stack wins and you're 8-0 and
look at the Giants. The Giants.
Out of everybody. Hot. Everybody's hot.
Yeah. Max, is there a team in the NFC that you're worried about maybe catching you guys? Minnesota's technically only a game back, but you owe the tiebreaker. But is there a team like, hey, if we match up, we play these guys either in the playoffs, like this is a team like I'm a little bit worried about. What team is that?
I would say there's probably two that I am the most fearful of, and I think Green Bay, if they can get
don't say them. That's my team. Don't say them.
If they can get in, they would have to have gotten red hot and just the Rodgers effect. But I'd say the two that I keep telling everybody, I don't want to play either of them in the playoffs. We'll probably have to play one if we're going to make it to the Super Bowl, but it's not the Vikings, it's Dallas, just because of the defense and Parsons, and then it's Tom Brady and the Bucs, because everybody wrote off the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago. Brady's going through personal stuff. He's too old. He's done. Fast forward to now, they're 5-5. They're playing in a terrible division. We're going to blink and they're going to be 10-7 going to the playoffs. And
Brady's in the perfect division. I'm telling
you. I don't want to play Brady in the playoffs.
I can't remember who said it. Right? I can't remember who said it yesterday, whether it was Jude Jets or one of the Larson brothers on one of the shows. He said Tom Brady's trying to be the only quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl with a losing record in the regular season. I said, God damn, that's probably right. Hey, that's Tom Brady, the goat of goats. Hey, you know what? Belichick couldn't do this. Nobody can do this. I took a team that was, 8-9, and we went to the Super Bowl and won this thing. Like that's, just add another notch to Tom Brady.
Oh man,
it's the one guy you just never. We've all have seen it for the last 20 years now. Like ball game just on the line.
Don't count out.
Anybody gets the ball. It's if you're on the other sideline, you don't want it to be TB12. That's for sure.
And that's a team that I think they're getting healthier. You're seeing Godwin get healthier. You're seeing Julio get a little bit healthier. If they can start to click a little bit more, White looks to be taking over that backfield from Lenny Fournette almost.
Yeah, Fournette's hurt. He's got a hip injury. He's probably going to be out a few weeks at least, if not longer. Last time he had a hip injury back in Jacksonville, he was out, I think, almost for the entire the rest of the season. So I don't know how serious this is. I didn't see any reports yet, but if that's the case, Rachaad White, who has been running actually fairly well for those Bucs, currently getting a bigger role. I'm not gonna say it's like Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Walker level, but he could really make a huge improvement for that team that is needing a running game to be able to set up that pass.
Get the run going, get that you keep that defense, keep them off the field as much as possible so they're fresh. And that's we saw it 2 years ago, ran through the NFC, won the Super Bowl. Last year, I think lost on a late field goal. So I think the Bucs, and I still am probably not completely sold on Dak as a quarterback, but I think Dallas, just because of how good that defense is. And I guess yesterday, they didn't look too great, giving up 31 to your Packers, but Parsons is a game wrecker, and I think that's a really good team. So
sunshine's even on a dog's ass, Max. Sunshine's even on a dog's ass, Max. Hey, don't buy that's fool's gold. That Packers win yesterday is fool's gold. I'm a diehard Packers fan. And I've been shitting on them for the last 3 weeks. Like I jumped off the bus, and it's gonna take. They're gonna have to rattle off 4 or 5 wins for me to hop back on, because I take zero joy watching them play each week. Even yesterday, there wasn't really a joyful win. Like, I was happy we won, but man, they're so hard to watch. So you don't have to worry about the Packers.
Hey, I just a team with Rodgers, because the way they would get to the playoffs, to your point, is they'd have to win 7 of their next 8, and we all know the NFC North right now. The Vikings are 8-1. It looks like it's already sealed, clinched, and delivered, but I've seen that story before too, where all of a sudden Green Bay comes back, the Vikings drop a game to Chicago, and then another one to Detroit, and all of a sudden Green Bay's down a game with 2 to go and probably playing head to head. So there's a lot of football left. Probably half the season left to go.
About halfway through. Yeah.
So let's hit a couple comments real quick here. Alan, as always, he always chimes in here. He says, first, let me congrats on the win yesterday, Nick. He is a Cowboys fan, so for those that don't know. He says, second, does this spark a run for Green Bay? I'm going to say Nick is probably saying no to that. And then third, he's rooting for Philly because he hates the name redacted. That's fair. He says the Packers are winning Thursday, just saying. Hey, that's going to be good. Another great matchup for the Packers. They got to play.
Derrick Henry's going to run. Derrick Henry's going to run for 200 yards against us. We can't stop the run, and it's King Henry.
Hey, I do want to point out here, I did look it up here. I did miss this tweet earlier today. Adam Schefter did report that Leonard Fournette is likely to be ready for Tampa's next game after the bye. So that'll be Cleveland coming to play. So it looks like it's not as serious as it may have seemed yesterday, which is good. But if you guys don't mind, I'd like to go over some stuff with you here on some breaking news that came into play today. First off, Zach Ertz out for the year on an already struggling Arizona offense that didn't have Kyler Murray yesterday. Actually kind of looked better.
Colt McCoy got hurt in that game too.
They went to the third string.
Trace McSorley from Penn State.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was Stafford didn't play yesterday either.
Great. It was Wolford.
The snooze game, right?
I didn't catch who won that game. The Rams.
Arizona
ended up winning that game. Okay.
So without Zach Ertz, Zach Ertz ended up having a knee injury on a catch here coming into play. So he is out for the year. In case anybody did not catch that. Also, if you guys that have deep rosters like myself, Enos Benjamin from Arizona as well got released today as well coming into play, which is a very shocking move for Enos, who actually blew up when James Conner was out initially, and now it's no longer on the team. So I think that might be a maybe more of a backstory to it than anything in my mind.
Yeah, that's got to be something, right? Like, it's got to be personal. Like, he got into it, or there's something personal there because he was playing well.
Especially, he's getting snaps, and even before Connor, I know his role increased greatly when Connor went down, but he was seeing a few snaps prior.
Yep.
I did see that come across too, and had Benjamin in a league or something on the bench in a league. But I was surprised to see him just cut for no reason. But of course, there probably is a reason.
There has to be something there. And because I actually just released him from my fantasy team on Sunday, actually yesterday, to pick up Traylon Burks. That's back for Tennessee. Just give me another wide receiver guy that was producing before he got hurt. Coming into play, and I'm like, wow, it's a good thing I did that yesterday. Let's see here. Jeffrey Simon's didn't practice. Rogers didn't practice. It's Monday. Nobody really cares. Oh, Cooper Kupp, Rams. This is actually pretty big news here. Suffered the high ankle sprain on Sunday. Another familiar with the prognosis said it doesn't sound good. This might be an injury that Cooper Kupp might end up missing. I want to say the last I heard was like five or 6 games, possibly to this kind of injury. What your guys' thoughts? How huge is that? Not just for the Rams, but for Matthew Stafford himself, who literally stares at Cooper Kupp's direction when he throws to him.
Only looks at Kupp, and that offense, to your point, Tanner, has been struggling mightily,
Awful.
even having Kupp with 12 catches a game. On the one side, it can definitely be a train wreck, but if you're a Rams fan, which I don't know many, but looking on like that glass half full, it might force Sean McVay and Stafford to kind of rethink what they're going to do on offense and maybe spread the ball around a little bit more. But
wait, there's other receivers on that team?
They got other guys. Allen
okay.
Robinson was a big signing, but
I wouldn't know.
You never know. Yeah. Throw it to him or Higbee.
Yeah, Higbee. There you go.
But the Rams, I think now probably maybe 3-6. So they dug themselves a hole in the NFC West, and Seattle lost yesterday, but they're looking like they might actually be for real more than I think I probably thought a few weeks ago with the way they've been playing lately.
I think the 49ers are going to catch them, though. Like, I'm high on the 49ers with the
consistent. Well, that whole division's inconsistent, but
yeah, I just think with the CMC and all them boys, like they're gonna get it right.
Stop talking CMC. CMC didn't do jack yesterday. You know who did it? 18 carries for Elijah Mitchell coming off the IR. Okay. The 49ers are such a mess, I think, honestly. They got too many big weapons, big names to be able to be consistent enough for themselves.
I think they've got probably the best unit in terms of that division, just the 49ers defense.
No, they do. Yeah.
But to your point, the inconsistency, and I think it all really just boils down to how well is Jimmy G playing. Because if he plays even average to like a B-level game, that's a tough team to beat. But if he plays like he sometimes does, like he turns it over, and he ends up losing them a lot of games too. So
yeah,
and interesting division race.
So my whole Rams thing coming into play, like if Cooper Kupp is for sure out, let's say 5-6 games here, do the Rams make a more serious offer, or actually offer a more serious offer to Mr. Odell Beckham Jr., who's looking to be on the team by the end of the month, who is clear? Because you would think if a team like the Rams wants to compete at all with any other Seattle or 49ers, hell, even Arizona, because the D-Hop down there, like you think they have to make some kind of move here. Like, do you think Odell would be in play here?
I'm talking Odell. I'm staying away. Like,
Scary Terry. Are you kidding me?
They're 3-6. Like, are they Super Bowl contenders? Are the Rams a Super Bowl contender? No. Even with Odell, they're not. Like, they're not a Super Bowl contender. Like that, he's going to go to a team that can win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. That's where it's the Cowboys are definitely in play. You line him up with CD, and you have their running game with Dak. And that defense, that Max keeps talking about, you look at Buffalo, like the Chiefs are in play, like those type of teams that are like, hey, we're going to add just the nice little cherry on top, or, that we think that can get us over the hump. Those are the teams that they're going to do. The Rams are more than an Odell Beckham away from making it back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they are. Hey, let's bring in Jonathan Grishman, everybody. Jonathan, what's going on, dude?
How's it going, fellas?
Hey, it's going. Hey, we got Max here joining us today. He is an Eagles fan, so if you want to trash on him, but I know you can't have to say much being a Saints guy.
Yeah, hey, I guess like I told you guys last week, it's college football season for me.
LSU. Hey, by the way, I'll pick the bone later. I'll pick the bone later. I got something for you on the LSU game, so we'll pick it later here when we get in that direction. So. Man, Eagles.
Terry McLaurin just made.
Just made a ridiculous catch.
There was some hell of a catches yesterday with Justin Jefferson and Diggs, and Terry McLaurin just made another one.
Kadarius Toney, out here adjusting his glove mid-route with the ball in the air to stay in bounds over two people. Are you kidding me right now? This is a guy that was hurt hamstring in New York, both of them, for all year.
He's a playmaker. He's finally staying healthy and seeing what he can do. And I think there was something going on with the coaching staff there too, because he just never figured it out.
He came into Joe Judge's coaching staff. So, do I need to say any more?
Upset.
Y'all mentioned the Justin Jefferson catch too against Buffalo. Where'd he go? Hey, where'd he go to school? Where'd he go to school?
Some Louisiana State University.
Is that school that can't cover against Arkansas? Anyways, yeah, I mean Justin Jefferson, he actually had I think it would count out 5 key catches in the final, I guess 2 minutes or 2 in the final 2 minutes, and then another 3 or something like that in the overtime drive that ended up being, a field goal in the end. So Jefferson is a different animal for that team, but again, a Vikings team that had the game pretty much won in the first place, going on that fourth down or the third down when they were on the line there. They should have had that. They should have had Dalvin Cook should have caught that ball and just dealt with it and not have all the drama included. Okay.
All right, can I pick at it one more time?
Heck yeah, you can.
Who got the game-winning interception for Minnesota?
Pat Pete.
Patrick Peterson. Hey.
Where did he go to school?
Hey, LSU about 20 years ago.
Hey, at the end of the day, he's still LSU.
Oh man,
Max, I gotta ask you, because we're talking about, speaking of receivers, what's it mean to AJ Brown being with the Eagles? Because he seems to be the huge difference maker on the Eagles team.
I think part of it's him and Hurts going back to their days in college, and I think it was Brown visited Hurts on a recruiting trip to Alabama, and they became like really good friends there. But I think you've seen that just around the league. Like you see the leap that Josh Allen took when Diggs went to Buffalo, and now Hurts getting AJ Brown. You get these young quarterbacks, receivers, and they take just enormous steps. And for the Eagles, I think they haven't had a receiver like AJ Brown since the TO days.
I would say TO, yeah, right. Like that's got to be it.
And it really helps even guys like Goddard find more space. Devontae Smith, who's also a really good receiver. It just helps draw attention away from those guys, and it just makes things a lot easier on Hurts. But I see they're down 9 here, so it's time to get after it for the Eagles.
Right. So, Max, I know you got to wrap up here and get out of here.
Yeah.
We hope to have you on again, maybe talk more about your broadcasting and play calling and all that stuff you did or you've done maybe recently. So I'd like to have you on again if we can, maybe here in a Monday or two. So
awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys letting me hang out, and I'm going to go catch the end of this game. So thanks for having me, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Max. Appreciate it, man.
I'll see you, Max.
See ya.
So that was Max Baker, guys. Great follow on, what was his Twitter? I think it was just Max Baker, right? Max Baker 17, guys. Go follow him on Twitter there. So come into play. All right, Jonathan, let's do it.
Do it.
What the hell happened?
What do you mean?
Why did the LSU only win by 3 to Arkansas? The spread was 4.
They were
3.5. I had 3.5. They just had
Tanner, they were hungover. They were hungover from Alabama. They drinking all goddamn. They was drinking all week, partying all week. They woke up and realized, shit, we got a game on Saturday. We thought the season was over.
And it's snowing.
They were drinking on Saturday night, and they didn't wake up from the hangover until the next Saturday morning. I mean, that's Baton Rouge. Tigerland bar was probably popping for an entire. Nobody went to class all week down in Baton Rouge. So, cold day. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses. It was a cold day in Arkansas.
It was sloppy.
It was snow throughout the going into latter part of the week. I mean, it's not what you were expecting of the number 7 team in the country to go on the road against a middle tier SEC team. But forgetting the fact that Arkansas was ranked in the top 10 at one point this season. Were they overrated? Yeah, they were. They were overrated. But at the same time, there was enough thought process that team was good enough to be in the top 10 ranked at one point. So there's talent. There's talent on that team. They have some depth issues, but there's a lot of talent on that team right in Arkansas that what Sam Pittman is building. And he's building something that, if he's given enough time, can be an SEC West contender. At least with Alabama and LSU and potentially Ole Miss, if what's going on with Lane Kiffin, doesn't transpire from what I'm hearing. But he's got something going in Arkansas. So I mean, it's a rivalry game. That's the other part of it too. Is the battle of the Golden Boot is something that both schools, both states really care about. Is that battle of the boot? So I mean. Was it a sloppy game? Absolutely, it was. And again, LSU fans are kind of scratching their head, like, "Wait a minute, what did we just see a week ago with Alabama? We see this." So I mean, I think some of the fans thought they were watching the Saints play on offense at the moment right now.
Oh man, it was bad at first.
But I mean, look, you do your job, and your job for LSU right now is you win the ball game. And they did. They won the ballgame. They did what they were supposed to do. They left Fayetteville with the W, with the Golden Boot. They're heading back to Baton Rouge, and they're still in that contention. And they claim the SEC West too. So they're going to Atlanta at the end of the season here pretty soon.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys caught this at all. So prior to that game that morning, right? It snowed over there. They were trying to clear off stuff. Some genius in Arkansas decided, like, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll spray water on the field in the morning because that'll get rid of the snow and all that. Well, they ended up having to shovel the entire field because it was full of freaking ice because it was so cold. So they ended up creating more work on themselves instead of just dealing with what was around at the time.
It don't snow very often in Arkansas. I mean, and it's Arkansas, so they don't. Elevators don't reach the top floor.
Not a lot of Nobel Prize winners come from Arkansas.
Exactly.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way did this happen before an LSU.
There's no excuse. It snows in Arkansas every year. They should know better than that. So I mean, there's no excuse on that one. I mean, that's Arkansas.
Oh man, I didn't see that in Kentucky like I thought I would. So that's what I was expecting. So there was a lot of changes in the rankings coming into play for tomorrow. Coming into play, USC lost.
Texas TCU lost.
No, TCU won.
Oh, they come back and won?
They won.
No, they were ahead the entire time. What are you watching?
No, what was that?
What are you watching?
I don't know. I was gone Saturday, so I missed. I thought they were down. I thought they were losing.
You're thinking
they played
Oregon.
Texas?
You're thinking of Oregon.
Maybe it was. Oh, maybe that's Oregon lost, right?
Oregon lost.
Oregon was winning, and then Washington came back and beat them.
Okay.
Yeah. But TCU took care of business in Austin and was able to beat the Longhorns. Yeah, so
and
but
cover,
the
and get that
Pac-12 the Pac-12 teams the ones that struggled, which is annual Pac-12.
Kind of what we kind of expect, right?
Well, I mean, Texas. It was 17-10 with Texas and TCU, so I mean, it was a closer game.
Yeah, but I watched it. The score at that point, the score didn't reflect what the game was. I mean, TCU handled that game. TCU. There was just a couple. There was a couple plays here and there that went against TCU. There was a fumble that Texas ran back and made it 17-10. Yeah. But the score, it was not as close as what the score was showing it to be.
That was a fourth quarter, 5 minutes left. Exchange, trying to do an option exchange that just fumbled out of Dunnigan's hand, and Texas scored. Overall, it was a blowout, or not blowout, but it wasn't. Texas wasn't having that game at all according to play. Let's see. I was double checking. Okay, so they did kill. So USC out of the mix with that loss.
No, USC beat Colorado.
They come back
55-17. That's what my phone says.
Wait, no, you're right. I'm thinking UCLA. That's why.
Okay.
Another Pac-12. Oregon, UCLA, both lost, so they're officially gone out of play. So Tennessee, of course, ended up walloping Missouri. Georgia won, Ohio State, Michigan. Everybody's 10-0. TCU's 10-0. So, do you jump Tennessee?
Not after this weekend, no. Okay. Not after this weekend. If you blow out Arkansas by 24 points and you look good doing it, I would have, but 13-10, I think is what the score. 13-10.
Yeah, 13-10.
Sloppy game against an unranked Arkansas team. No, I think they're going to stay behind behind Tennessee in the standing. So I think LSU will jump to 6. Tennessee will go to 5. And I think that's going to.
Tennessee is 5 right now. Tennessee could go to 4.
So Tennessee will stay 5. Tennessee will stay 5 because I think the top 4 stays the same. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU will be the top 4. Tennessee 5, LSU 6. I don't think they did enough in that game to really warrant jumping Tennessee right now, especially when you have 2 losses. Now, again, different conversation in 2-3 weeks when they face Georgia. But as of right now, they didn't do anything to warrant jumping Tennessee right now.
Yeah, there could be a big conversation coming into play because you got Georgia, LSU facing each other.
Ohio State, Michigan are going to play each other here in 2 weeks.
TCU is going to have to go against either K-State or Texas again. And K-State's one that they went in overtime.
Tanner's freeze.
Well,
there he goes.
Don't count out this weekend against Baylor. Baylor plays TCU tough every year. Don't count out this weekend. Potential upset alert.
Yeah, in Baylor.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, TCU's only favored at 3 on that game.
I know that one was going on because I got one of my teams is traveling down to Waco, and we're scrambling trying to find hotels and everything. It's so hard to do right now. So I knew that was a big weekend going on right now down in Waco. So yeah, but don't count that one. That's a potential upset alert.
Let's see here. Head to head, the last 3 years. TCU 30-28, TCU 33-23, TCU or Baylor 29-23 in overtime. All with TCU had a 7.5 spread, minus 2.5 in 2020, and then Baylor with a 1. Okay, they do play tough then. Okay, so it is fairly close most times going into play, but it looks like TCU has the upper hand in the last 5 years over Baylor.
Typically, yeah. I mean, typically, yeah. But again, that's a rivalry game. Like I said, and they play tough. I mean, does TCU usually kind of squeak out? Yeah, they do. But I mean, again, anything can happen in those kind of ball games that are rivalry games. So it's something to kind of keep an eye on.
45 degrees, cloudy.
Illinois headed to the big house in Michigan. I mean, Michigan's minus 18, but Illinois has been pretty tough. They're ranked number 21 in the nation.
That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting game. I got my team. I got my team on the outside. I don't mind some chaos. I don't mind a little bit of chaos right now. Get some extra teams losing and see what happens.
That's a trap game for Michigan, right? Like, I mean, going to here comes Illinois, and then you're already looking at, Ohio State here next, the week after. So it's a perfect trap game here for Michigan. So watch out.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That's something that, again, you got to keep an eye on. Got to be able. And we're at that part of the season where these games, even these small games, again, LSU Arkansas is one to keep an example on that you're going to keep an eye on, just because you're at that part of the year where anything happens, the weather changes and the competition gets tougher. I mean, it's something to kind of keep kind of see, and that's a trap game. TCU Baylor trap game. You could see some things. You could see some chaos happen potential this weekend.
USC goes to UCLA too. USC just 2.5 favorite against the UCLA.
That one's going to be a tough game either way, I think, for both teams there. So I'm not putting that one too highly in. But UCLA, if they can get back to maybe playing the ball they had original this season, they could cause some chaos for USC going to play.
But just as like for Jonathan's standpoint, you want UCLA to win because that gives USC 2 losses, and even so, then you can say, well, the Pac-12, they have 2. Yeah, they have 2 losses. Because if USC can run the table and become the champs, they can say, hey, we have 1 loss and we were the Pac-12 champs, so they could, hypothetically jump over LSU or somebody. So you want USC to lose out.
But do you put an SEC champion even with 2 losses not over a Pac-12 champion with 1?
I mean,
I put an SEC over the 1.
Absolutely, you do. So I mean, does it make it easier if USC loses? Absolutely. It definitely makes it easier. But the SEC champion's getting in, and you know that no matter who it is, unless LSU loses to A&M,
get 12
you know,
teams.
which I don't think that's going to happen. You know, but if you have a 2-loss LSU and they beat Georgia, you're putting them in the playoff. No matter what USC does, I don't think that. I think that's irrelevant.
I fully agree with you there. I don't think you put in a USC 1-loss team over a Tennessee, over an LSU, over a Georgia.
So if Georgia, let's just hypothetically here, let's just say Jonathan's Tigers win the SEC. They win the SEC championship game, and then they're not going to have 3 SEC teams in. So which is it? Is it Tennessee misses out then?
Tennessee will miss out.
It's the same thing I said to you guys last week.
So it's LSU, Georgia, Ohio State, winner of Ohio State, Michigan, and then
TCU.
Maybe a TCU.
Maybe TCU.
Which you could, if you really want to have some chaos and just blow people's heads up in the process, have TCU lose. And now do you make it, Ohio State beats Michigan, TCU loses, LSU beats Georgia. Do you have Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and LSU in the top 4?
So I would, at that point in time, if TCU loses, let's see. You say Georgia loses too?
LSU beats Georgia, so you have 1-loss Georgia. I mean, Georgia's getting in. Unless something just crazy happens to Georgia. I think they're supposed to play Georgia Tech here pretty soon.
They got Kentucky this weekend at
Kentucky, and I think Georgia Tech. Unless something crazy happens these 2 weeks, Georgia's getting in. No matter what, if they win or lose the SEC championship game, they are automatically getting in.
Yeah.
So LSU beats Georgia, Ohio State beats Michigan, and TCU loses in the next 3 weeks. I mean, how do you not make it in the aspect of, and maybe at that point, now the conversation is, does USC get in over?
If USC, I would put USC because they won their conference over Tennessee.
No. Tennessee's not in the conversation because again, they're third place. They're third place.
This is between Michigan, Ohio State,
1-loss Michigan
LSU.
Then I'm still taking USC because they won their conference.
Pac-12, no.
It doesn't matter. You win your conference. You got to be rewarded. That's got to mean something.
The same thing for the Big 12. Then, if you have a 1-loss Big 12 team, shouldn't they get in over the Pac-12 winner?
They don't even have a tournament. They don't even play a championship game, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Do they? They used to not to. They changed it right the last 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's because they were missing out because everybody that was their biggest gripe was like, hey, you don't even have a championship game. Yeah.
But then they would usually, when they do have a contender in. Usually now the championship.
It's usually Oklahoma, and then they get
they ruin it. Yeah.
So, or it's Oklahoma, and they get obliterated. In the first playoff game.
So here's the deal, right? If you want USC in, you need miracles to happen right now. You need TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee, all to have all get a loss here in the next 2 weeks before any title games get played. That's miracles.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. If USC wins out.
No,
it wins the Pac-12.
They need.
Why do you keep putting Tennessee in the conversation?
Tennessee's in conversation as long as they win out,
because
they have potential to come in.
If LSU beats Georgia, now if LSU loses, let's just say LSU loses to Georgia.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and let's play.
Everybody wins out, and then LSU Georgia play. That's fine. Tennessee's out.
Well, let's just say Georgia beats LSU. All right, LSU. Do you put Tennessee over USC then?
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
Why?
Why? I'm going to tell you one reason.
They're a third place team in their conference.
The Alabama win puts them over the USC.
Alabama hasn't, but really, if you look at it, Alabama hasn't looked that great at all this year. Like they're not the Alabama of Alabama. Like they struggled this past week.
So you put a third place team in the conference in the top 4 playoff?
So Tanner's subscribing to the 3 SEC teams, then, right?
I am. Well, no, not
this year. Not this year.
It all depends into play. So USC, all right, Utah. They lost to Utah.
That's their only loss.
And UCLA, Notre Dame. That's their next. That's the only 3 games that they've had to compete for or will have to compete for because they still got UCLA and Notre Dame to play. Outside of that, it's a bunch of scrub teams. Tennessee, I'm going back to like college basketball style here. Strength of schedule here: Pittsburgh, Florida, LSU, Alabama, Kentucky. They played Georgia and got.
You say that, Tanner. But when you win your conference in college basketball, you get higherly ranked than the third place team in the SEC. That's just how it is, because you won your conference. So I mean, which is it? You're gonna do in basketball? You're saying, well, it's strength of schedule, but they won the conference. You automatically get in. So,
well, yeah, you automatically get in. I mean,
I don't see how you could have a team compete for a national title that was third in their conference. I don't understand why Tennessee's in the conversation.
Competitiveness.
And again, it's the same thing. It's the same thing I felt back in 2011 when Alabama competed in the national title with LSU in the BCS that caused the playoff really to happen. That Alabama shouldn't have been in the national title game. They lost. They lost against LSU. LSU was the best team in the SEC. Bama wasn't in the SEC championship game. They had no business being in the national title. If you're the best team in your conference, I think you should be able to compete.
So Jonathan, right? One lost team, lost to Georgia going into play. Tennessee beat LSU this year, right?
Yeah.
So why shouldn't they be in the mix as well? Then I don't understand.
Because they're not the best in their division. Georgia's the best in their division.
Because you're a one-loss SEC team.
That's the rule, is it not? That's not how it broke down?
Yeah,
you have divisions in the SEC. So if you're
you're going to put in a one-loss Pac-12 team because they won the division over a one-loss SEC team that played against
USC runs the table and wins their conference. Yeah.
6 ranked teams. 7. I don't know. I don't know how you would justify USC into that.
How do you justify a
win
third
a conference?
place
TCU is going to win out, but if they're a one-loss team and win their conference, they don't.
Then they're out. No,
USC is a one-loss team and they're going to win their conference, they should be out too.
It's based off of where you're at in the standings at the time, though. If TCU lose, who are they losing to right now? If they lose,
they're going to lose.
They lose to Baylor. Baylor's unranked right now, correct?
Baylor is unranked.
Yeah, that's a bad loss. That's a bad loss.
That's the worst loss you could have, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you lose in your conference title, I mean, you're still out of the rankings of the top 4. But I mean, in the essence of how your conference is, that's a bad loss. I don't know. Tell me where Utah is currently right now in the rankings.
Utah's 20.
So they're ranked.
Oh, sorry. They're 10. They're 10.
No,
so
they're 20.
They were 20 in the loss
when they lost. Okay.
But they're 10th now.
So based off of who you lost to Utah they were 20 at the time. They're number 10. So they've gotten better as the season gone on. That loss doesn't look as bad to USC as if you are TCU and you lose to Baylor, who's unranked.
And then if you see USC wins out, right? So that if they beat UCLA, who's 12, Notre Dame, who's 20, then they would play. Who would they play in the championship game? Utah?
Probably
Utah.
So then they could avenge that loss if they win that loss.
So you're another ranked opponent.
Your last 3 games are 2 teams in the top 15 and 3 teams in the top 25. If you win out,
that looks.
You're going to tell me. Are you going to tell me you're not one of the top 4 best teams in the nation at that point in time?
I mean, I guess if you win all 4, I mean, I don't know. I don't see the justification losing to the number 1 team in the nation. So versus all those other teams.
They didn't just lose. They got their ass beat. That's the problem.
Well, so did USC, didn't they? Oh, no, it's a 43-42. They just played defense.
They lost by 1 point.
Didn't play defense.
I mean, again, the conversation is you got to look at it in the aspect of the 2 teams that are playing the SEC championship game. If LSU beats Georgia, they're in the top 4. Georgia's not falling out of the top 4.
In the end, I think we have 2 Big Ten teams, 2 SEC teams in the top 4.
I think that happens only if LSU beats Georgia. I don't see Tennessee getting in. I just don't. Unless you have a lot of chaos. Unless you have teams that lose. That are potential. If USC loses one of these games, they're done. If TCU loses, they're done. Then you have Tennessee in the conversation at that point.
Yeah. The winner,
a lot of help.
The loser of Ohio State, Michigan is going to be done. Like they're not getting in the final playoff. Tanner, you think they're not? You said 2 Big Ten teams. They're not getting in.
assuming TCU loses at some point, either the title game or Baylor.
You basically need LSU to lose, and you need TCU to lose for Michigan to stay in the top 4. That's the only. If that happens, then
I don't think that's happening.
Yeah. But for Tennessee, you need Michigan. You need Michigan, because I think Ohio State's going to be. If Ohio State loses to Michigan, they fall to 4.
Yeah,
they fall to 4. It's the same thing as the conversation of Georgia. If Georgia loses, they're still in the top 4. So you need Michigan to be the one to lose against Ohio State. You need TCU to lose. You need USC to lose at one of these 3 games, and then you have a Tennessee conversation that's in the top 4. That's the only way I see that Tennessee can be in it. If you have even one of those teams wins, Tennessee's not going into the top 4. I just don't see how they could justify it.
You want to talk about a team that hasn't played nobody? It's Michigan. Michigan has only played one ranked opponent all year, and that was Penn State. Now they're going to play Illinois, who's ranked on Saturday. So 2 ranked teams. They played Penn State when they were number 10. And now they're going to play Illinois.
That's what I was talking about. USC. USC only played one ranked team going into play the last 3 weeks.
At least their last 3 weeks, I guess. I mean, now Michigan's going to play Ohio State, but they're going to. If they lose that game, it's over. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. They're not getting in if they lose to Ohio State. Their strength of schedule is awful.
I agree with that. I mean, if you're Michigan, you have to run it. If Ohio State loses to Michigan, they're still in the top 4.
Yeah, Ohio State's the only one that has of the Big Ten that has a opportunity to go back into it, just like Georgia coming into play. It's that 1-2 spot that essentially can bounce back. But that's all assuming TCU loses at some point. Because they're lost. They may win versus Baylor, but if they play the title game against a team like K-State, who has the opportunity to go to there, well, that's another ranked team going into play for TCU. So that would help them more into play, but it's still, I think they get kicked out with one loss.
Yeah, I agree with that. TCU has to win.
Yes. Big pressure on them. Big pressure.
The Eagles are coming back in this game. They pulled it within 2 and got the ball here.
They got the interception. They're trying to throw a deep ball into play here.
Which I'll say real quick, I'm a little torn about for TCU because I'm only 5 minutes away from the campus. I see the football stadium. Oh yeah. I'm on that side of Fort Worth in Texas out here. I can literally see the football stadium from where my apartment. So I mean, if they make it, I'll why not? I'll go make a surprise appearance at the parade if they do get that opportunity.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool to get some pictures of that going to play. I get to go to the Jayhawk game, Jayhawk Texas, NKU this weekend, so I'm pretty excited for that one. Just because it's been a long time since I've gone in. Yeah. Why not a Texas game?
The basketball game?
No, it's football, Nick.
Yeah, Kansas football is relevant. It's been since 2000.
Yeah, I forget that they got a football team. Hey, what happened? What happened to them, Tanner? You were so pumped. Are they even ranked anymore?
No, they're not ranked because we lost Daniels. We lost our starting quarterback. We've been stuck with
all's right with the
well. So.
All's right with the world when Kansas isn't ranked anymore.
Hey, we're 6-3, or whatever it is.
Bowl eligible for the first time since 2008?
Yeah. Bowl eligible. 09.
09, okay.
09.
Damn near tore down the goalpost because they finally got bowl eligible, They're probably going to go to the
there was no
Mighty Car Care Bowl, some crap bowl, tax slayer, cheese nut bowl.
We're about to be 8-3 when we're done with this game. So
they'll get to go to the Citrus Bowl now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Hey, you know what? It's a bowl game. We're playing in December. That's all I know. So we haven't played in December in a long time. No. Hey, by the way, there was no GoFundMe for that goalpost after it was thrown into whatever it was. Unlike Tennessee, the cheap bastards over there. So, KU had that thing replaced same day going to play.
They had Baton Rouge's finest protecting the goalpost after the Alabama win. I mean, you're not messing around with Baton Rouge police officers out there. So, I mean, all them boys are on jambalaya and gumbo. You ain't messing with those guys.
Touchdown, Washington.
What?
Interception. Return for a touchdown. Dallas Goedert down.
This gamecast hasn't updated yet.
I don't think. Yeah. What happened here? Oh, Goddard fumbled it.
I say it was a fumble.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he fumbled. Clearly fumbled it.
He's going to be down by contact, though. We got away with a face mask.
Yeah, it looks like he should be down. You're right. He definitely did get away with a huge-ass face mask. Jesus. I mean, it was blatant. grabbed him and threw him down.
Is that Washington Commanders or Alabama football playing that got away with
that? Hey. It looks like he's probably down by contact. If it looks like he did touch him when he got the ball, maybe. Yeah, how do you call that face?
I don't know how he. Well, you saw I can't remember what game it was yesterday, but legit, like a guy's. I thought his neck freaking broke when the running back was going, and there was no call, blatant, obvious, head turned all the way around and just running forward. I was afraid like something wrong was gonna be wrong with his neck. No call. It was, and there was like 3 refs right there watching it.
I didn't see that one.
I can't remember which game it was.
Any update on Mr. TikTok himself, Juju Smith-Schuster?
He's still in protocol. He'll probably be out this week.
Is he doing TikToks in the blue tent?
No, I don't think so. I didn't.
They knocked the tick out of Mr. TikTok yesterday. That's for sure.
Oh my Lord, that was some insane hits. I mean, that was an aggressive game going in for the Chiefs here. For that was one of those physical games we haven't played in a long time. Our defense was physical, and so was theirs going into play. So, that was a little scary at times. But Tony got his action. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if you guys saw any of the Tony action in the play, but he was a big impact player for the Chiefs yesterday.
So hopefully going forward, I got him on my fantasy team.
I wasn't able to watch any of the games yesterday. I mean, I was on the ball fields myself, so I got some updates here and there at times, but I didn't get to really watch. I did see, Kadarius Toney was getting himself back in, getting himself acclimated into that offense, and that's just. I mean, that's got to be you have to be the fastest. That's the fastest receiving core in NFL history that the Chiefs got to have. I mean, McCole Hardman were the 4.31. I think was the fastest of the group. Tony, 4.33 or something like that. Valdez Scanning, he ran a 4.35.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the Dolphins too. The Dolphins, man, with Tyreek, Jalen Waddle.
That's
the fastest.
That's a track team.
Tyreek had a faster crew last year than he does with the Dolphins.
I think the 3 or 4 receivers that Chiefs have right now, they're all running 4.3s. I mean, that's just you don't have anybody to guard that. I mean, that's just disgusting to have.
And if Tony continues to show the aggressiveness that he showed yesterday, just going out and he went up and got balls yesterday and took some hits, some licks too.
Tony needs to be used like Percy Harvin. That's how he needs to be used. That's how Percy Harvin used to be out of Florida and out of Minnesota, and how they used to get him. Tony's the same player. He's a little bit bigger than Percy. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit bigger than what Percy Harvin was, so he can handle a lot of that punishment. But if you use him as that scat back, slot receiver that you can make him go run, I mean, you got a weapon that McCole Hardman, you're hoping to continue to be that he was supposed to be the next Tyreek Hill, and he's been up and down. Tony can be that for the Chiefs, and if that's the case, that's scary.
Does Patrick Mahomes need another weapon? No. Will he take another one? Yes.
And that still bothers me that he was supposed to be a New Orleans Saint. You know that, right?
Yeah. I know. I'm aware.
If we had Pat Mahomes in New Orleans, Sean Payton did not retire.
Sean Payton doesn't retire. Drew Brees gets out of there quicker, and you're going.
I mean, can you imagine Sean Payton with that toy of Patrick Mahomes at quarterback?
Michael Thomas, young Michael Thomas coming into play.
Problem is, Mr. Michael Thomas is made of glass. He's done his career. I don't think.
I said a young Michael Thomas, not the older injured one.
He's supposed to be young.
He doesn't want to play. That's all.
He don't want to play in New Orleans.
Yeah, he don't want to play in New Orleans. That's the only reason why he's out.
And look, I don't blame him because for certain aspects of it. And this is coming from a Saints fan, I don't want to talk bad about the franchise that I love, but we have had a horrible history with medical staffs. We have, and I think in the last 8 years, we're on our 3rd medical staff.
Yeah,
because we cannot figure it's in. And I don't know at that point, is it the medical staff or is it the team itself that continues to botch these things? We had Keenan Lewis, who's one of the top defensive cornerbacks, 10 years ago. He suffered a leg injury that was never figured out. It was actually a broken leg. They misdiagnosed on him. Delvin Breaux was an up-and-coming New Orleanian who was, got himself a chance to compete. He had a broken leg that they misdiagnosed. Now you have Thomas with his issues with his ankle. They keep misdiagnosing and figuring out. They can't figure out what's going on with his ankle and toe now. I mean, would you want to keep playing for a franchise that has no clue on how to be able to take care of your players? And he took a shot out with how the tweet or retweeting what the Buffalo Bills have done with Josh Allen's elbow, and basically just going through the proper protocols and checking and making sure everything's fine. Where if he plays, he doesn't get hurt. If he does play and he has a chance of risking it, they're not going to risk it. He made a statement saying, "Oh, that's the way you're supposed to do it." Okay. Taking a shot at New Orleans. I mean, the medical staff in New Orleans has just been absolutely. And again, I don't know if at that point it's the medical staff or it's the organization that has completely just turned their backs on the players' health at times.
Cutting corners, essentially, is what it seems like.
Possibly. I mean, I'm not familiar. I'm not as familiar on that side of it as much, but I mean, there's so many different stories that I've talked to guys who are close to the franchise, and this is more something that's been going on for 3 decades as far as the medical with the Saints. It's a history with them. So I mean, at that point, if you're Thomas and that's the history, do you want to even try to risk your career further? And you doing what you're supposed to do and it doesn't get better. Something's not allowing it to get better. I don't necessarily blame him at times.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. It's like Chargers players right now too. Like that's another organization, whatever that is going in. I think it's the water over there because.
Well, you remember the Tyrod? Was it the
Tyrod Taylor? Yeah, they stabbed him in the needle.
Hey, we're gonna get Herbert in this. All right, guys, let's come on. Especially against the Chiefs.
I mean, Keenan Allen still hasn't played, and they keep saying he's supposed to be coming back each week, and it feels like he's just never coming back.
Yeah, Keenan's on my fantasy team. I know that. So,
but yeah, Mike Williams out. You get Keenan out.
Mike's always hurt too. He's one of those guys that's always it very, very rarely does he can put it all together. Last I think season or so it was close to 16 games, 17 games, but it's usually like he's always
a good
kind of
9
hurt.
games or so, and then you might see him on the back half of your playoffs. So that's about it going into play. Man. How in the world is this happening? 26-21. The Tyler Heineke energy continues for Washington. What this world?
Isn't that what the Washington franchise really quarterbacks have? I mean, they're not big name quarterbacks in their history. I mean, even Joe Theismann back in the day was not really a big name quarterback. They just
Doug Williams.
Yeah, but I say they succeed with middle tier type quarterbacks. They find ways. I mean, and Taylor Heineke is that kind of quarterback, and he just finds ways to grind it out. Yeah. I mean, respect to what he's been able to do. To the XFL quarterback to what he's becoming with the Commanders. I mean, absolutely pay respect to him for what he's done.
Yeah, and this is what 2-3 years in a row now that he's had to. All right, last year he came off the bench because Fitzpatrick got injured first quarter or whatever. This year he got benched for Carson
in the playoff game 2 years.
In the playoff game, yeah.
Was that 2 years ago in the playoff game against the Bucks? Yeah, because Alex Smith was it.
Alex Smith got hurt.
They took the Bucks to the limit the year the Bucks won the Super Bowl. So 2 years.
That's right. They took him in the wild card and almost.
Y'all remember the interview or the interview that he did, or not an interview? It was like around the media in spring in training camp. They asked him about competing with Carson Wentz, and he goes, "You see Carson Wentz's contract, and you see my contract. There's no competition. I'm not going to play because of that contract." He goes, "I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna go to work, and I'm gonna continue doing my job. And when my number's called, I'll be ready. But I'm not. There's no competition. I already know. I mean, hey, blunt as can be, love it. You got to love that.
Oh yeah, like that's a guy that I would want on my franchise. Honestly, I mean, even if he needs to back up to Patrick, like that's a guy perfect to fill in Chad Henne's shoes.
At some point, that conversation, he needs to start having the conversation and goes, all right, hey, now y'all need to start talking about paying me now.
Mm-hmm. This is what I've given you the last 3 years.
Yeah.
What else do I gotta do? That's what I would be saying.
I mean,
speaking of another XFL quarterback going to play, PJ Walker ended up getting high ankle sprain for Carolina. Now we got Baker back. My only question is, what does that do for one, the running game, and two, DJ Moore?
It hurts
Baker
DJ
game,
Moore.
there's nothing there.
Yeah. Maybe, hey, keep giving it to Dante Foreman, baby. He's on my fantasy team, so
he's on mine too.
Right,
keep giving him the ball 20 times. That's what the two I guess the 2 games they won like that, he's been the huge key.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
yeah.
If you're the Panthers, you're like, okay, good. We got Baker starting. We got the number 1 pick in 2023. I mean, we got the number 1 pick coming, and so Baker and Sam Darnold are going to be looking for new jobs in next season as well. So
I don't know there, Jonathan. There's this team in Las Vegas that has something to say about that right now. The way they're playing.
Let me ask you with the Raiders. So, I mean, speaking of them, Al Davis or Mark Davis, Mark Davis kind of gave a vote of confidence to McDaniels. You know, people are saying, hey, it's time to move on for Derek Carr. But my thing about that is Devontae Adams, literally, that's the main reason he went to play in Las Vegas. So, and you paid Devontae all that money. So are you willing to get rid of his guy in Derek Carr?
That relationship?
You paid all that money. So to me, you're stuck.
Get rid of him.
You're stuck like Chuck with all 3 of them.
Not all 3.
No.
The McDaniels will have a job in 2023. He will stay as the coach in 2023. If it continues down in that road next season, then yes, he's gone.
Yeah.
But you're stuck with Derek Carr. You're stuck with him because, again, you don't want to – Devontae already found a way. Devontae left Green Bay. You don't leave Green Bay. You don't want – that's something that's probably have never really happened. A star caliber type player leaving Titletown NFL, you don't do that.
A Hall of Fame quarterback. A Hall of Fame
quarterback who you loved, and he loved you. Now, again, money talks and money walks, and that's what caused the friction between Rodgers and Adams. But at the same time, you had a Hall of Fame quarterback who you were paired with, and if you continue the next, let's just say Rodgers plays the next 3 years with Adams there, you're on track for the Hall of Fame yourself. So he left that. He left Green Bay to go to Vegas.
Oh, he just fumbled the ball. Sorry, Jonathan. I can't tell which Eagles receiver it was, but huge catch. Makes the catch, fumbles the ball. Commanders recover. And Commanders ball. Jesus.
Watkins?
I think it was. It was number 16.
You had my hopes for a second thinking it was Devontae Smith. I need Smith to fumble because I'm down 1 point right now, and a fumble be -2. So you had my hopes up for a second.
I mean, it was a hell of
the same boat.
It was a hell of a catch. Catches it.
Oh, it was Watkins.
Yeah, fumbles the ball, gets tackled from behind.
Quez Watkins.
Yeah, he caught it, turns around, doesn't secure the ball, and then gets hit from behind. Commanders recover. Commanders got the ball, their own 15, 20, 25 or so. Man, what an incredible play.
That's hurtful.
That's a turn for sure.
With 5 minutes to go. Yeah, he was about to score a touchdown. I mean, at least they got 3.
At least being in the red zone.
Yeah, the Eagles, their first 3 games, they had 3 turnovers. Tonight they've had 3 all together. You know what I mean? Just kind of shows you, man. Hey, and a team like Washington, you can't turn the ball over. Like they'll stick around, win this game.
Insane! Oh my Lord! Good
Incredible.
job, Philly. Good job, Philly. Oh my Lord!
But like I said, if you're the Raiders, you have to be able to keep Carr at least another year because again, you did so much to get Adams. That is your go-to piece. That is your marketing tool for the fan base in Vegas. It's not Derek Carr. Nobody's going to go see Derek Carr. They're going to see Devontae Adams and see what he can do and do fantastic things. With your franchise. So are you stuck at least the rest of the season and starting in 2023 with McDaniels? Yes. But McDaniels has a history that is not successful as a head coach. And at that point, you're looking at it and say, we have to win. We are in Vegas. We moved this team here for a reason. We cannot lose the fan base. if you don't win, you lose this fan base because Vegas is about now. Like, you need to win now. It's the being how strong gambling is in Vegas. You want a fan base that is saying we win now. Because our hockey team just went to the Stanley Cup Finals their very first year. So we're about winning now.
And now they're winning this year too. They're really hot this year.
And if Vegas Raiders are not winning now, you're going to lose that fan base. So they have to find a way to at least get it going. So that's going to follow McDaniels more so than Carr right now. I think Carr's stuck in Vegas for at least another 2 years because you got to keep Adams happy.
Correct. And I mean, next year is going to be even bigger deal because you're losing Jacobs, going to play.
Waller's a free agent.
Option. Waller's gone. You're going to be losing, I think, 3 others? Farrell's out there. He hasn't done much, but still, you're losing 3 or 4 guys that's been on your team for the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years. That
I think they find a way. I think they find a way to bring Jacobs back. I think Waller is gone because they try to trade Waller. They obviously declining the 5th-year option on Jacobs does put some question as far as the future there, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get re-signed. So I think Waller is gone. I think they're going to find they got to find a way to move on from him on it. But I think you're going to keep Josh Jacobs and make your 3-headed monster be Carr. They'll keep Carr. Find a way to get Jacobs under contract with Adams, and that's your 3 selling pieces on the offense right there.
I agree. Hey, so speaking of which, with Raiders, Jeff Saturday comes in, gets his first win with his coordinator. Lots of former coaches talk really criticize the move. They are very unhappy with it. Granted, they all, went through such the pain and everything like that, having to be a full-time NFL head coach. But what's kind of your thoughts going into play here?
I see the why of a lot of these ex-coaches that are scratching their head and being like, why was what are we doing, and what are we trying to accomplish? But again, culture matters. And somebody who was in the building. I mean, let's not get it wrong. Jeff Saturday was always in the building of the Indianapolis Colts. He was a consultant. That's not the same as a coach. I get that part, but it's not like he was a complete outsider. It's not like the Colts called Ryan Clark from ESPN, who has no ties to Indianapolis, who has no ties to the Colts, and says, Ryan, we want you to come be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Jeff Saturday played for the franchise. Jeff Saturday is a consultant to the franchise. He's a consultant to Jim Irsay. He's somebody who knows the culture of what he has built with Peyton Manning under in that building. It's not a far-fetched hire. I get what they were trying to accomplish to say we want somebody who can reinvigorate what we are supposed to be known for as an Indianapolis Colts franchise right now, and that is we have one of the best running backs, one of the best young running backs in the NFL, and Jonathan Taylor. We have the highest paid offensive line in the NFL, and we are
like shit.
And we are underperforming at our job and what we're supposed to be the best at in the NFL. Who do we need to reestablish the culture of what we're supposed to be? Oh, how about one of the best centers that we've ever had in our franchise who, by God, breathes Indianapolis Colts football. Yeah, he has no head coaching experience other than high school football for 1 year, but he's somebody who can help establish the culture of what we're trying to do. So I get the complaining by these former coaches that say, hey, we paid our dues. Get to the point where we were wanted to be at. We had to work our butt off to work from the bottom to get to the NFL head coach. And y'all call somebody who's in a booth, was in a TV booth for ESPN. But it's not just somebody who was in a TV booth, though. He was somebody who played for that franchise. And my goodness, offensive centers are the smartest, or at least one of the smartest players on a football field. I mean, so he's got intelligence and he knows football and he knows how to be able to work things together and be able to organize. So I get both sides of the argument, but I think it's a lazy argument by these former coaches to say, well, he has no business being a coach. But he does know the game, and clearly he knew what he was doing by getting a win against the Raiders, albeit the Raiders, but he's still got to win. You got to do your job to win the game, and they did.
Yep, no, I'm with you there. That's fair.
This game. Oh, go ahead, Tanner.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
would say this game keeps getting interesting here. The Eagles. No, it was ineligible. They almost got blocked, and now they're going to have to. I don't know if they're going to re-punt it here. It's ineligible man downfield, but the Eagles just punted. The Washington is now 2 first downs away from winning this game. They 2-minute warning and all 3 timeouts here, but 2:08 left to play. Washington's got the ball. All they got to do is get 2 first downs, and it's over.
Yeah,
almost had this weird punt block, but now they're going to re-punt it here on 4th and 18. So let's see what happens here. So now it'll be about 2 minutes left when Washington gets it.
And
so
Washington might get it around the 50 here with that repunt because they have to move back now.
Yeah, the 48.
40, got it.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, yeah, around about the 48. Yeah.
Are we surprised by this stuff?
Not completely.
I mean,
shocked.
Is this Philadelphia team one of the weakest undefeated teams we've seen in
No. Hey, remember those?
We just had this conversation here earlier today.
Remember that Pittsburgh Steelers team last year? That was 10-0.
No, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the COVID year.
Whatever.
10-0, yeah.
Awful.
Well, are they a talented team? Absolutely, but as I just said, you still got to win the game. But I mean, their schedule has been light. They've had scares against teams they should not have scares in.
Arizona.
Was this not expected to lose to Washington?
It's not expected.
I was surprised the spread was so high at 9.5. I took the points with the Commanders. It was 9.5. Yeah.
Oh, they're lucky I didn't find out about that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's 9.5. I was surprised because the way the Commanders been playing, took Minnesota to the brink last week. Ever since Tyler Heineke, the Heineke has been in there. They've been playing a lot better. But yeah, it was like 9.5. I think it closed at. Taylor, did it close at 11.5? You said
no. 11.5 was when I got it.
Okay. It opened up at 11.5, right?
I feel like at times this Eagles team has been underwhelming, though. They're just super talented, but they've just been underwhelming in games. So that
I feel like this Eagles team, in a way, like I said it earlier with Max on, that my Chiefs, they kind of have the same kind of feeling with my Chiefs where they don't stomp opponents. Right? They don't they always seem to play down. They always have to come back at some point, or if they are.
Is that what you Chiefs fans think of your team?
Chiefs don't cover. The Chiefs don't cover.
We finally covered a game.
I mean, if you look at an aspect of it, but I watch Chiefs games here and there. Just
they're dominant.
And I'm looking at it you let teams hang around, but then after 5 minutes, you score 21 points.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we go down like 14-0, 17-0, but then halftime hits, and it's
they look bored.
Yeah, that's like
they look bored at times. It's kind of like the Golden State Warriors for the 73 win season. At times they just kind of look bored, and they say, okay, we have 5 minutes in the game. All right, let's turn it on now. That's what it looks like at times with the Chiefs. They just they look bored a little bit here and there. That's why Pat Mahomes throws behind the back passes and passes and headbutts the ball to receivers 15 yards downfield. He just tries to find something ways to entertain himself. And then now I got to take it serious. Let's go score 21 points in 3 minutes and let's go win a ball game.
Right.
I mean,
doing himself kind of thing too.
But I said the Eagles team, in my eyes, I feel like they're underwhelming. Again, I mean. Does this change your opinion that the Eagles are still the best team in the NFC?
I think they still are.
You don't in Minnesota?
I put Eagles above.
They beat Minnesota head to head, so you got to
get that. I get that. That was earlier in the year. Now Minnesota has been hot though.
Minnesota's played at every one of their games like one possession game. They've the ball. They got a horseshoe up their ass. I mean,
look,
you ever watch them teams? It's every year there's a team that the ball just bounces their way. Minnesota, and to their credit, the ball's been bouncing their way. Like it, I watch a lot of their games. Being in my division, they're good. I've said that they're good, but the ball just seems to the ball seems to bounce their way. And on the flip coin, you watch teams where the ball just doesn't bounce their way. That happens too a lot of times where it's just like, man, usually the ball bounces our way, but this year, and it's bouncing Minnesota's way a lot of times, and that's just, I mean, to their credit, and they're winning games, though.
They're winning. That's all that matters at the end of the day, right? You win a ball game. You know, it doesn't matter how you get it done. It doesn't matter how, you know, how lucky they were yesterday with Josh Allen completely fumbling the ball on the 1 yard line in the end zone. That's not their fault that it happened. That happened. They recovered, they scored, and they won they ended up winning the ball game later on. I mean, you got to win. You got to win the game. And right now they're doing it consistently, regardless if it's by 1 point or 20 points. They're winning ball games. I mean, so I feel like the Vikings have closed the gap as far as with the Eagles, being the best in the NFC. And I'm not sitting here saying that this game is going to tilt it completely to where the Vikings are the best.
Oh, Tyler Heineke took a huge sack. Oh, oh my God. He took a knee, they hit him, and they're going to get a roughing the passer, game over.
Man, that's
smart. How they end the game.
That's smart. I mean, come on. That was
what?
Gave himself up. Up.
That's how they end the game.
That's going to be the game. It was 3rd and 7. Heineke runs around, slides in the backfield, and then here comes the Eagles player and just boots pushes him down.
That's how they do that.
Well, yeah, I'm watching it right now. He
takes a knee. He takes a knee.
Yeah, he
gave himself up, and then here comes they sandwich him.
That's the right call. That is absolutely the right call.
Yeah, and then they sandwich him. He was running around, took a knee, and then they just go and sandwich him. And
that's the definition of unnecessary roughness.
Yeah.
That's the right call. I mean, again, it was terrible.
That's how they're going to win it. 1:38. That's with only one timeout.
I mean, terrible. My Lord. Terrible decision at least to take the sack like that in that aspect. But I mean, that's smart. If they're super aggressive. That defensive line is very aggressive, and Brandon Graham is very, very aggressive. I mean, that's a smart heads-up play by Taylor Heineke.
I think he did that on purpose, though. I think he was running around to waste time and then to go in the back to make the punt a little bit longer, short, because they were on the shorter field. So
you're not throwing that, but if you're Taylor, you're not throwing it. You're going to hold on to it.
If he is going to throw it, it has to be the 100% wide open.
Wide open.
That was the only scenario right there in that case. So, yeah, that's a ball game, guys. So, guys, let's wrap this thing up here as we come into play. Who's LSU got next week?
We got UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Cupcake week.
Wait.
Senior night. I mean, come on. You got to let the seniors have some fun.
Wait here. What's that spread coming into play? There it is. LSU minus 14.5. Do I go after it? Or are
14.5?
Yeah. Or are they going to cake it up?
LSU will cover.
Okay.
LSU will cover. You're back in Baton Rouge. You're back at home.
They are 5-1, 5-1 at home against 6-4 against the spread. And 4-6 is UAB as well. So
you're getting yourself ready for A&M. They got to clean some things up. They're gonna go clean it up. They'll probably go and put 38 points on UAB. It'll be 38. I'll go ahead and call it 38-7. I think that's what it'll be.
Okay. I might throw 5 on it.
Washington is going to have to punt this ball with about 10 seconds. It looks like they're going to wind this down to about 10 seconds. Now, I don't see Deshaun Jackson back there. Remember Deshaun Jackson against the Giants a couple years ago?
I remember that one. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be scared here. So, guys, I don't know if you guys realize this. Tomorrow is the first real big game of college basketball. Duke, Kansas going into play. Kentucky, Michigan State, I believe, are playing as well for tomorrow. One of my favorite times of year because they always play this tournament where they rotate back and forth going into play. So super excited for that tomorrow. Of course, my Jayhawk.
I hate to break your heart on it, but I'm a Duke fan. I had a buddy of mine. I grew up in my hometown in Louisiana. He played for Duke. And ever since then, I've been a big fan of Duke. So go Blue Devils. Go Blue Devils.
I don't know. I don't know if this guy's coming back on. LSU doesn't cover and Duke wins. I don't know.
This is my last show with you guys.
We're about to discuss this off air. So, but yeah, I just wanted to call that out here because that's, like I said, one of my favorite times of year is this little tournament where they just rotate out back and forth. So
it's the first time we have a Duke Kansas without Coach K on the sideline.
It is. And no Bill Self because Bill Self's suspended. So for I think 2 more games or whatever. So no Bill Self, no Coach K. It'll be an interesting matchup for sure going to play, but hopefully these guys can come through and show some young hope into play. So I don't know. I'm excited for it. It's just going to be an overall great game. I know Kentucky, Michigan State before that. I'm excited for that because Michigan State came out and actually performed really well against Gonzaga last week
on the aircraft carrier.
Sunday. Yeah. Sunday or whatever.
That's so.
It was Friday night. Was it Friday night?
Friday night. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Friday night. So Michigan State. I was more impressed that they came out firing like they did versus a really good Gonzaga team once again. So, guys, it's oh my lord, we're talking about college football. We're talking about NBAs. We got NFL. We got.
I just threw it behind him. Washington scores touchdown.
I don't know.
Now the game.
Too much to count. NHL. There's so much to do. So, Jonathan, we got coming up any tournaments? Anything showcases?
Yeah, we got our last weekend of the falls this upcoming weekend. So we are counting down now to the end of our season. We have 3 of our teams are playing are in action, and then we have the week off of Thanksgiving. We get everybody kind of gets some time to recover, to spend some time with family. So all right, and then we begin our off-season training program in December. So we have the last week. It's been a long year. These girls and boys have been really busting their butts from last February to where we are today here in November. So I know a lot of the girls and a lot of the boys are really excited to just kind of get the season done. But at the same time, it's definitely a turning of the page where we're at right now. So it's definitely going to be exciting. It'll be a fun weekend. And then we have like I said, we have a week and a half off going into December, and then we start hitting the weight room, and that's when we start really turning things up. It's one of my favorite times is off-season training. So I'm gonna be enjoying that part. I'm still working on my workout program, writing it up as we speak. So definitely gonna be a lot of fun, and the girls and boys are gonna be going here pretty soon. And then I still have to do some work with recruiting. I got 2 girls that are seniors right now that I got to help them with the recruiting and get them in college next year. So. A lot of work I got to do for them, but it's what I do. It's what I love, and I will continue doing it for those athletes as much as I can for them.
That's very awesome to hear. I know I'm excited to hear more about your off-season training stuff. So I know last year was pretty exciting picks and stuff going into play. So I love hearing about that kind of stuff. Oh yeah,
there'll be a lot of videos too. The girls particularly, they hate when I do the videos. You think they they hate when I do it, but I make the videos all the time for them, kind of showcase, let them see and get some notoriety of what we do. It's a little different than a lot of these programs. We try to separate ourselves. So this is one aspect of what we do that does separate us from other programs. So it's definitely fun. It's exciting. I love it, and I'm ready for it.
Well, we hope to see some good stuff here from this weekend here. Hopefully a couple more pictures of you and one of the girls in a ball outside the fence.
Man, we're killing it right now with that. We've actually set our own personal record of our organization with most home runs hit by alpha players in a season. So and I think we're going to hopefully we can get another one before the season ends this weekend. But it is definitely a testament of what we do, is the work ethic that my girls put in. Those girls continue to do. They're the ones who put that time. My job is just help lead it to them. So, hey, I'm excited. I love it. And it just continues to show the work they keep doing.
Love it, dude. All right, Jonathan, we're going to let you go here, man. We'll give you a yell next week here if LSU covers, and we'll talk next Monday.
Sounds good, guys.
See you,
dude. See you, Jonathan.
See y'all.
Nick, what you got coming up here this week? Anything good?
I just got the show on Wednesday, the Week 11 preview show. So we'll be pumping that out Wednesday. So Wednesday night.
Nice. So Commanders ended up covering the 11-point. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That was the Eagles that are supposed to cover the 11-point spread. 32-21 is the final score, guys. catch me here on Wednesday night with the Sports Buffoons here. And of course, this weekend, Nick and I, along with Johnny, will be rolling again on the Sunday Game Day show for week 11.
Yeah. Whoa. Moving right along, my friend.
Whoa. Insane, man. Insane. Otherwise, guys, everybody have a wonderful rest of the week here. Hope you enjoy the college basketball tomorrow like I'm going to. And on that, we'll catch you guys later. See you guys.
See ya.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Buffoons and Bodkins show. Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, and follow for more content. Swing over to the Bodkins show, subscribe and follow for him. And then also swing over to Let's Talk Sports Network and go subscribe to him because it's phenomenal for what he does. And there's a lot more to come on that channel.